Hello and welcome to the Kidney Bean Podcast, Confessions of the Chronically Chill. I'm Tiffany, and with me, as always, is Samantha, and welcome to our second episode, which we will name after.
Yeah, we want to name it after because that's fun.
Yeah.
I had fun doing that. I'm more nervous now than I was the first time, but so I think this time we want to just talk a little bit about the last couple weeks that I've had, 3 weeks. And just kind of catch everybody up. And thank you so much for the response that we have gotten on the Facebook page and basically the Facebook page. That was nice. That was very comforting. I appreciate all the good.
Well, I mean, the majority of it came from our family, so thanks, guys.
Yeah,
we love you.
Friends and family. I had my friend who's a nurse that responded.
Yay.
That was pretty cool, Ashley.
Because everybody looks like just people I don't know, so I'm like, I don't know who they are to you.
Yeah, some of them came from the not the I Hate Dialysis page, the Living on Dialysis.
Living on Dialysis.
Yes. That some people came from that, and that was pretty cool. So I also did want to say that the last time I said something that I couldn't believe that I said, and I couldn't stand it. I had said, "Oh, my female doctor. She's a doctor, and she's a female." Well, she's a doctor. Like you don't.
But you asked me why you said that, and I said it's so ingrained in society that right. You almost have to be descriptive about it. Because when you said female doctor, I thought gynecologist.
Well, I did talk about gynecologist in the beginning about something not unrelated, but something. But Allison. Then I was like, oh, I'm not saying she's a gynecologist. I'm saying.
So what kind of doctor was she, other than
just
female?
Just a general practitioner.
Okay.
General, is that the right?
Yeah.
Yeah, general. So, then she opened up her own practice and everything. So amazing doctor. I really still wish I had, followed her and went wherever she went.
Do you have a general doctor?
Yes, I do. Dr. Leroy Darks. He's pretty cool. Like he listens.
Now, is that out of UNC or?
Yeah, UNC Internal Medicine at White Oak and Garner. So, he's really cool. He listens. He takes the time. He writes notes. And
how long have you been seeing him?
Just a couple years. I only see him every few months, really, just to check in. And my dialysis doctor can't do everything, so there's the other doctors that you still have to see in general.
Now, how often do you have to see Dr. Fuller? Is that still once a year?
So I don't really see him now because of not having the transplanted kidney. Yeah. At the end of the life of that kidney, I did see him. I believe it was maybe 2 or 3 times a year because it slows down when you first have a transplant.
But once it stops, you go to the dialysis doctor after that. Once you get back on dialysis.
Yes, and but in the beginning, when you first have a transplant, you're having to see them once a week and getting labs and things and trying to balance out the immunosuppressant medicines and trying to figure out all the levels of everything, see if there's antibodies and rejection and infection, and I had all of that. So I was there a lot in the first 2 years, and but actually, that brings me to we want to do a kidney shout out, which is
kidney shout out.
Yeah, and I think I want to call it the Bean Post.
The Bean Post.
Because
I
think
like
that sounds cool because post transplant and the Bean Post.
So we just and these are people that are recently getting them, and then we know that sometimes they don't work out as planned, but we still just want to lift people up and celebrate the fact that they're given this gift and wish them well and send good vibes. Not to be cliche, but send good vibes.
Yeah, no, I agree. So this one that we're going to do, our first Bean Post, is Lisa Pappas from Rhode Island. I'm really hoping I said her last name right. Lisa Pappas from Rhode Island is on her 3rd kidney transplant, which is funny because she had it on 3/3 on March 3rd. And I believe she is doing well because she said, the kidney's making urine. She posted that on Living on Dialysis. And she says that she would like the other warriors to know that you should never give up on what you want. It's not an easy road, but so worth it. And she says, thanks so much to my hero that I have never met who has changed my life. And that, gave me the chills when I said that.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Lisa. We wish you and your kidney well, and I hope this is your last and forever transplant.
Keep us updated. We are so interested to know how it goes.
Yes.
Hoping for the best.
Yes, and her kidney is making urine, so that, is
that's the first step.
Yeah, wonderful blessing, because, you do have to sometimes, and I think I did 1 or 2 dialysis treatments. I was making urine, but not enough. I remember walking up the stairs after my transplant, and I just was like so winded because I had 20 pounds of fluid on, which is crazy. Like,
oh my gosh.
I looked like a sumo wrestler. Like my face was so big. And it's insane because you think, oh, kidney, no more dialysis. But sometimes we still have to do a few
Did you have
sessions.
to do dialysis between getting your kidney, and was there an in-between transition for you? I can't remember.
What do you mean?
Like after you get your kidney.
Yeah, I'm saying I had to do a couple treatments, yeah.
And then after you did a couple treatments.
Yeah, so I did probably a couple in the hospital. I was only in the hospital for 3 days, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember it was not that long.
But I didn't know the power of steroids either, and pain medicine. I had that morphine, button, which is crazy. So I was like, oh, I'm not in any pain, but it's like because I'm probably pressing that button.
Yeah, because you're on morphine.
Yeah, and so that stayed in my system for a while. And I mean, I was riding my bicycle when I got home, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I don't think I'm supposed to do this, But I was just like on top of the world. And
just excited.
Yeah, so I had done a couple dialysis treatments in center, but
so I made an allusion in last episode about your kidney. I said, oh, Sally.
Yeah.
And you didn't pick up on the fact that I said that. So Samantha named her kidney Sally.
Right.
Why Sally?
Well, I think because of the Nightmare Before Christmas, where she's Sally's all put together, patched together. So
I didn't know that's
that
why.
was
I just remember it being Sally, and then I'm like, why did I never think to ask why? Like, or I did ask why, and I forgot. But yes, that's sweet, Sally.
Yeah, because she's probably the most, people like to identify with the Disney princesses and things like that. But I mean, I was
so you identify with Sally
being very much so. Identify with Sally being stitched up, and I wanted to be her for Halloween so many times. But that's
have you been her yet?
No, because everybody else in the world is her. So.
Oh, well, you should know my costume. You seriously identify with her.
I know, but my costumes are so unique. So
you were. I don't know what you were last Halloween. I do remember 2 years ago you were Mary Poppins.
Yeah, and you was had good because I didn't even know that the movie was out.
The hat with a couple different
because you made it and it was.
Did I make it?
Yeah, it was on his hat. But we need to go back to let's talk about real quick what I have went through the past couple weeks because
I took you at what time did we leave on the
4:20 in the morning.
We left at 4:20 on what day was it?
It was February 28th. It was a Monday morning.
It was the last day of February.
Yes. So I went and I had which I'm just going to point it out. The scar is here, but it's a pretty good.
It looks really
incision.
good. It looks really good.
He did it in the nurse practitioner told me he likes to do it in the folds, and I was like, what folds? There's no folds here. But yes, there clearly is a fold.
Everybody has.
I know, but so that line, and I had thought that it was going to be up at the other one, so I was picturing it different, but I don't, it's fine. So it's a partial thyroidectomy, so part of my thyroid on the left side came out because of a nodule that they were unable to test, and in case it was cancerous.
Now, did they send that to the lab to see if it was in fact cancerous?
That's another good question because I meant
now don't get mad later if you don't know.
I know, I was so mad that I said I don't know so many times.
No, I love it because
and that's the thing is I'm always having to ask questions, and one of the questions was because and I didn't even remember to ask it, of course, and she just happened to tell me, and I was like, oh, that's what someone was asking me. So also my parathyroid glands came out, and all four of them.
I meant to ask you, where did they implant it?
So in my forearm here.
Oh, you can't even see it.
It's a piece of one in my forearm, and it was funny because that Dr. Kim, he normally isn't a real jokey person, but he was like, he said I'll try to stay out of your tattoo, and I was like, oh no, I don't care about that, and he was like, I'll put something in her hand, and I was like, so funny. I forget what I said. I said make some. I can't remember. There was a joke there, but. So
part of one.
Part of one, yeah. So they take one that's not super enlarged, and I guess when they're enlarged, that they're bad, making too much of the parathyroid hormone, which was taking calcium from my bones and giving me the weak bones and the body aches and everything. Constant body aches all the time. It's crazy that it's just gone.
So it's just gone.
Yeah, and before the surgery, one of the dialysis doctors that I saw, not Dr. Oliverio, but gosh, I can't remember this doctor's name, but
I don't know how you remember all of them.
Well, I only saw this guy once, and it was just because I had to switch my appointment because my appointment was on the day we recorded the first episode. So I switched it and had to see a different doctor, which is fine. But he said, do you have body aches? And, I was like, yeah, actually I do, because I'd never really said anything
about it. Because you just got used to it.
Yeah, and I knew what it was from. And so he was like, okay, well, I hear patients say that completely goes away when they have the parathyroid.
And then it did.
It did. And so there's a lot of issues that have gotten resolved as far as digestive issues and just
Really?
certain things. Yeah, I don't have the itchiness anymore. I had
I'm
really,
so glad because I hated that for you. I remember that was
I had
really
really
annoying.
itchy armpits.
Oh God!
And I had a cream and everything. It was terrible.
Oh, I remember that. 'Cause
Yeah,
you said, I
it's-
don't know why, Tiffany. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it was awful. It felt like a million ants.
So
and,
did were they able to save any of them? Because I know you said they might try to freeze
So
some.
a part of another one that's not super enlarged and
And
looks a little is frozen.
Yeah.
Cryogenics or whatever they call it. I was reading. So you can now go on my chart and read the notes from the surgeons and from the doctors. And I mean, that's been in the last couple of years that they've done
yeah, that's always really cool.
I am so into that idea because I was like, oh, I can see, because, you know, he.
Yeah, 'cause
talked
you're
about-
out.
Yeah, he talked about, and plus I haven't seen him
And
since,
then
which
when
is
you
weird, but-
come to, you're on morphine.
Or
So-
I was, it was like the pills, narco or whatever. It was
It's-
like, narco or whatever. And I try so hard not to take those because I just can't stand not knowing what's going on. But sometimes to get through being in the hospital, you have to, you know, take that and take the Benadryl so that you can just sleep.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
You know, I took the nausea medicine, I took that stuff. And so I was like, let me, you know, I try to not go crazy.
But
on
you
it
can't
because-
take in important information when you're in that
Exactly, because
kind of
like I saw a doctor yesterday for a follow up on the partial thyroid and full parathyroidectomy. That's what it was. So
Oh,
they took
okay.
all of the parathyroids out. But I did see that he like said, you know, that they were searching for one of them or two of them for a while. So I was back there. I mean, I didn't, you know, didn't go back for surgery until probably like 8:30 or 9 because, you know, the prepping and everything. But I didn't wake up until about 2:30 p.m. So like,
I think they called me around noon.
okay, so I was done, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it was just a while and I didn't know how long it was going to take, you know. But oh gosh, I should talk a little bit about how I woke up because like patients will totally, you know, feel me on this one. Like I remember getting wheeled into the room because like I guess when you wake up enough, that's when they take you up to your room. And the plan was I'm going to stay for a few days so they can monitor my calcium because your calcium
Right.
can drop with this surgery, with the parathyroids coming out. And so they have to monitor it, balance it out. It's, you know, we're so much of a balancing act all the time. But so this was one of those where they have to see like, okay, did your calcium drop? We're going to give you the supplements and the calcitriol. So calcitriol is a calcium pill. And then I was just taking Tums basically.
Right.
For the calcium. So, you know, they do your labs like every 8 hours and I have like nowhere to get blood from. So that was crazy.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, like
Yeah.
texting that. You're like, where did they end up getting, like, in
So
your
I
feet?
had an IV in my foot that they put in while I was out. And that was because like, you know, they got the IV in my hand in the beginning and did the initial anesthesia through there. But then they need a bigger IV and you can't have like a big needle
Right.
in your hand. So they waited till I was out just because it hurt so bad in the foot, you know, so, and it's just not comfortable and, you know.
So you weren't awake for that. You just woke up with one in your foot.
Right. I think I have been awake for an IV in my foot before.
Oh,
though, but
that sounds terrible.
yeah, so I wake up with the IV in my foot and it was a great IV, like it, you know, lasted and everything.
I love
and-
it when it's like, you can tell it's like, they nailed it.
Right. And so my other foot was where they got blood like one time and they were trying to get it out of that IV in the foot. Like it's just all this complicated stuff. Like, you know, you got to get it from here and you can't do, you know, it's every 8 hours and I'm like, I'm a hard stick is, you know, what they call. And so
So
I
do
don't
you
have any
always just
veins.
ask for like a person when you go in and airplane, like,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to be difficult. You're going to want to call like your best person.
Right, and I tell them, and like the girl who did my labs yesterday at the follow-up, I was like, I think you did get it from, because they always want to go here first, and that
Right.
is just all scar tissue from the last like 15 years. So sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't.
Right.
But I told her, I said, I think you did get it from there last time, and you know, I was in the hospital and they, you know, did beat it up a lot, but you can try, and she did. And you know, I always tell them, I'm like, good job, because you know, I had this one young kid from the phlebotomy come in, and I was, you know, told his supervisor and stuff, I'm like, he's really good because, you know, he got it and he was calm and,
Oh.
you know, we just joked around a little
You wonder
bit,
what they are thinking on the inside. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah. Oh, so I made a joke when I said we joked around a little bit. I made a millennial joke to him because, you know, and I felt all cool and everything.
Oh,
So-
did you?
Yeah, because the IV was in my foot and I was like, there goes my OnlyFans.
Oh gosh.
And he was dying. So like, you know, it made him like more comfortable. To
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
because of the feet obsession.
Yeah, but-
I was wondering where you were going. I was like,
Yeah. Well, the people do OnlyFans
yes.
with their feet.
I
yeah.
heard something like, what's that girl's name? She laughs like a dolphin.
Oh, Chanel.
Chanel West Coast. Yeah, she
I love
said
Chanel.
Rob Deirdrick told her that there's like, and this was years ago, there's like over 600 pictures on some foot fetish website of her feet.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
And apparently, like he was telling everybody that was on the show how many pictures of their feet, but hers was like over 600 pictures.
Yeah, I
of
believe
her
it.
feet.
That's so funny, and probably even more now.
Yeah, probably because.
So, what I was going to say earlier though is about being in the hospital and going up to the room, and I woke up and my stuff wasn't with me, like my bag and my patient belonging bag.
Does it usually stay with you?
Yeah, I mean, when you get wheeled up to the room, like it comes with you, like it's your
So
stuff.
it goes down there with you and then comes back up.
Well,
with
like
you,
some, my important stuff, the wallet and the phone was in
so
a
the
locker.
stuff you take with you is in a bag.
Yeah, like there's a patient belongings bag that I put my clothes in, and then I had my backpack because, my backpack purse because I was staying, so I had my, stuff I wanted to keep it with me. And then, the nurse took and put my wallet and my phone in a locker. So I get there and I'm like, the first thing you want to do when you're in the hospital and you wake up is look at your phone. I mean, what else are you going to do, because you're all out of it and you just want to see, like, did anybody text or whatever, So it took about 3.5 hours from that point to get my stuff to me.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Well, now, okay, so you did have a little bit of a mishap because remember, you said that they ordered you food.
Well, that happened after.
Yeah,
there
that
was
was
a lot
after.
of things that happened this time in the hospital. I felt like such a bougie, like, just like, I don't know, rich widow or something that was like in a hotel, like, oh, my stuff. And like I had a complaint for everything, but it was like legit. It was valid. And I'm like, okay, let me just be calm, because Slim always tells me just like be patient, calm down. You're annoying, you're terrible, you're so mean to them. So I was nice this time. I was really nice to everybody, and look what happened. It's almost like I got walked all over, like a doormat, because it was like they just didn't care. So
The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. So they were like, oh, let's go, we'll go find it, and blah 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 blah. We'll go and the one nurse, I feel bad for him, because I was kind of like, where, eventually I'm like, where is my stuff? Like,
yeah, because I want my stuff.
Come to find out, he couldn't find it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how it got lost. It was sitting on the nurse's counter in the nurse's station, and I was right by the nurse's station.
So it was right there.
Yeah.
Like literally in front of their face.
Yeah, so 4 people who were looking, couldn't put together that maybe the patient belonging bag is for the patient who's looking for her belongings. Like we all know what a patient belonging bag looks like. It's that clear, stupid bag, and that I have a ton of. So like, it didn't make sense to me. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll let that go. And then like a cleaning lady came in, and she, they normally like say, bye, have a good day, and shut the door or whatever. And she didn't do that. So I was like, okay, she's coming back, whatever. And then I forgot about it. And I go into the bathroom, and I'm like, this is what she brought in here. I saw her. She had brought into my room during a COVID pandemic, almost full, at least more than half full bag of soiled linens. It said soiled linens on it.
No,
I didn't have any
stop.
soiled linens yet. I hadn't used
And
any
just
towels
left
or
it
anything.
there?
And left it like right in front of my way to get to the sink in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
So like I would have had to move this thing and touch it, and I don't want to touch it. I'm scared. I'm already
No,
scared
you shouldn't touch
in the
it.
hospital to get COVID. So I called and complained about that, and I was like, what is this? Like, I feel like I'm at, like a terrible resort hotel or something. And then the food thing happened, where like,
You sent me a text. You said I ordered food and it never came, and I asked them about it, and they said, oh, well, the kitchen's closed. And I was like, so are you just not going to eat? So I actually took it upon myself.
yeah, which was awesome.
Which I felt kind of like, I was like, okay, so I called the front desk and I was like, yeah, so my sister's there and she's by herself and I'm about an hour away, and I'll come up there if I have to, but she ordered food and they said that the kitchen's closed and I think they missed her meal. I said, so what is she supposed to do? So she sent me back, and then I got on the phone with someone who was really awesome, because I was like, I explained what was happening, and I was like, I mean, I'm not wrong for calling, right? I want to make sure my sister eats dinner.
Yeah.
And then you got like plus some.
Right, because that was around the first time that I was actually going to enjoy a meal, because, I had just been kind of eating for
Oh, you were on the
before
renal
that.
diet. This was going to be your first meal off the renal diet.
Exactly, you're right. I forgot all about that. But yeah, so the renal diet was like so awful. They won't give you a salt packet or anything to like, liven up your food a little bit, because of the low potassium, low sodium, low
What kind of
phosphorus.
foods are on the
So the
renal
breakfast
diet?
is like scrambled eggs with nothing, and I need a little hot sauce on my eggs, but I don't think they were going to give me that, so I didn't even ask. And then like a plain bagel or something, I can't remember. And I kept getting Italian ice with everything, because that was what I really enjoyed for my throat. And
Was the pain in your throat a lot?
Yeah. I mean,
but you didn't lose your voice.
It went. Yeah, that's what they asked me yesterday, and it got raspy for a minute. But like, I mean, the pain came and went. But yeah, I was afraid that I was going to sound, real hoarse and terrible, but I didn't So it was, the surgery is a success, I would say. I mean, we're still monitoring calcium and having to adjust that a little bit.
Yeah, because I remember when I went to pick you up, you're like, okay, I'm getting out, leave. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to go park in the parking deck until you're ready to be rolled down because, like, we knew the discharge papers were on the way.
It's always like that.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I'll just pay a couple bucks to park in the garage and just wait for you to tell me they're wheeling me down.
Yeah, because they'll say, like, you ready to go home today? And then it's like...
Well, they were ready to send you home, but then your feet fell asleep.
Well, yeah, they're like, if your feet or your hands feel numb, you need to, take all this calcium, and then, like, if it doesn't get better in 15 minutes, you need to go to the ER. So, like, I go to put my shoes on, and my feet are all of a sudden numb. And, like, that's something that I kind of have a little bit of every now and then, like, anyway. Just probably circulation and being old. I don't know. So, I just freaked out and was like, oh, God, did my calcium, like, drop really low?
Right, because they specifically told you to look for that.
Yeah, and they were like, well, no, your lab was actually, 10 point whatever. And I had just taken it before then. And, so it was fine. And the nurse was kind of, like, dumbfounded. She's like, well, I don't know, because usually it would be your hands and your feet. And, she's like, could it be something else? And, being in bed for, a couple days. And I was like, but I've been walking around and I've been doing chair yoga. And I've been, like,
chair yoga.
Yeah, I was, like, doing my guardian ad litem stuff. I was doing chair yoga. And then
Oh, yes.
And I left
Samantha did do, oh my gosh, I called my guardian ad litem supervisor. We have the same one. So we have to do a shout out for Emily.
Oh, yeah,
because we did say there's 5 sisters. 3 of us are guardian ad litems, but we did not mention the third one, and that's Emily. We love you. Yeah. But she's in Harnett County. Right. So she's not in Johnston County like us. So she doesn't have the same supervisor or the same, like, she falls under the same district, but she's not in the same county. So we're kind of related in that way, but she just lives a little bit further out. But I called my supervisor to talk about my case, and she said, your sister's been texting me. I said, she's in the hospital. And she's like, yeah, no, she said she was doing her court report in the hospital because it was due. And I was like, of course she is.
The court report was done. I was editing it, but, I should have brought my laptop for that. But, like, that was a very important case.
Did you not have your laptop?
No, I don't know.
So you were doing that from your phone?
Yeah. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
But now I got a new phone. Slim got me a new phone, so, like, my new phone I could definitely do that stuff because my old phone was terrible. But no, all I was doing was, like, kind of maybe adding, like, a contact or, it was easy.
That's some dedication, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else am I going to do in there? So I did a little bit of that, but I was really had to, time it right because I would be cloudy if I, took medicine the night before or whatever. So I was trying to, get my brain, back in normal, focus mode, but... then I left my planner, and then, of course, they don't have it.
I feel so bad about
my
the planner.
My planner had so much stuff in it, like for this, for the podcast.
Because you have it with you all the time, everywhere.
Kind of, but that was like the notebook that I brought, because I've got a notebook for guardian ad litem, I've got a notebook for this, I've got a notebook for, next stage, all these different things. So that was just like, okay, I'm going to take this and then, put notes in there for everything. And I had been doing that, if that's all I have, if that's all I have with me, I'll do that. And then I'll transfer it if I need to. But, a lot of times I just keep that with me. And yeah, I left it, and then I didn't notice it till days later and called. And it was probably that cleaning lady who I complained about who threw it away. She was probably
she just had it out for you. Probably.
Yeah, she was probably like, "You're going to complain about me? Well, I'm going to throw it."
So you've had a lot of surgeries at UNC, and usually it's pretty smooth sailing.
Right. That's what my whole point was. Like with the food, so the nurse had, and this is people are going to cringe at this so bad. She had found that my meal got, because I like to call it in as late as I possibly can, so that I will get it at like 9:30, because I'm a late person. So like I don't eat my dinner at the normal. I'm usually eating lunch when people are eating.
That's
dinner.
that forever bartender schedule,
right? And they do like the 3 times a day, 3 meals a day, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the normal times. But I like to have my dinner so that when I'm sitting there at midnight watching Forensic Files, I've got something to eat because I'm just a late person. So she found out I had gotten delivered to the wrong room, and then she brought me from the other room the closed container stuff, but not the they give you the main entree like in a room service.
The stuff that was still like sealed.
Yeah, and so it was like the cheesecake that I ordered, and like the because this was my first enjoyed meal. Right. And then so it was like cheesecake, and then there was like a veggie and in one container and like a salad and
just to give you something because you're over here like what can I do?
And I was okay with that, even though I'm pretty afraid of COVID. She was like, he didn't touch it. It was over on the counter, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, so. Then the food guy, I don't know if it's the one you talked to, I don't think it is, but the food guy who got sent to my room, nutrition guy, he came in with a sandwich, and it's one of those cold sandwiches that are like, turkey on wheat bread, like plain turkey. They give you a mustard packet or whatever. I was like, all right, this is going to happen. This is what's going down tonight.
Yeah, but when I called, he said, "Oh, I've already got it." Like they're making her a lasagna.
Well, they were making me a sandwich because the nurse had, asked them to do that. So they were making me a sandwich. But then this guy, he said, he brought in the sandwich, and I was like, how did my food go to the wrong room? And I was like crying because
this was going to be your first
everything had added up, and I started just crying about everything at that moment. But the food thing set it off. It was like the last straw.
Well, I mean, you have like one thing to look forward to all day. You're like, oh, that meal's going to be so
right. It was
good.
veggie lasagna, and so then he goes, oh no, and he takes all the stuff that she brought from the other room. He's like, she can't do that. She can't bring this from another room, and he throws it in the trash can. And I'm like, oh God, And
I'm starving.
But he called and ordered everything over again. So I got the veggie lasagna and all the stuff over again, but I also had the sandwich, and then
But I thought the thing was closed.
Exactly, but he goes.
So someone somewhere went back and fixed something for you.
Yeah, because he goes. We're about to serve lasagna in 15 minutes, and I was like, I am in the twilight zone because I thought this kitchen was closed, and that's what they told the nurse. Like, sorry, the kitchen's closed when she had asked about it, whatever, So, anyways, those were the big things that happened when I was there, and it was like I definitely, reflected that on the survey. And his name was Michael, and I was like, Michael, you're a saint, and I'm gonna put that on the survey and everything. So it was just a pretty rough hospital stay this time.
Oh,
which UNC's not normally like that, but I'm normally on the kidney floor. I was on
that's right, the golden
floor,
kidney floor.
So the
love
kidney
being
floor,
up
they treat
there.
you like you're just gold. So yeah.
But UNC's really good.
Right. So I just was like really confused about why I was having such a, I won't say awful, but there were just things kept happening. And, I felt like the nurses and stuff really didn't know a lot about, my situation and stuff. So I had to keep, talking about it. And that was fine. I mean, I like to sometimes joke with them and stuff. So I did that. And, but they didn't seem like there was a lot of good communication going on either, because one nurse was trying to...
Well, they could be short-staffed too, and COVID and everything
always,
else.
Yeah, everywhere. But this one nurse had asked me, do you always check your calcium this much? And I just got kind of snappy because I was like, the surgery I just had, you're supposed to... I was like, no, I don't always check my calcium this much. Like I said, you're my nurse. I'm a little confused about why you don't know what's going on. I said that because if you're my nurse, and she had been all day that day, it's not like she'd just gotten here. And she had been the day before at some point. So it was just weird. And I don't know. I felt very out of it, a lot, there with that medicine. But then, so I got through that and then came home on that Thursday. So then, Slim came home from West Africa on that Sunday, and we were both just sleeping for days. He was jet lagged and had a stressful time.
But is he finally feeling better though?
Yeah, I think he's finally back to normal. He runs every day and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Weirdo.
Yeah, he's gets up and goes to the gym and stuff. So,
no, that's not weird, but good for him.
He's in shape. So I then was doing dialysis on a Wednesday night, a week after being in the hospital with the thyroid surgery. So I had that catheter that I talked about last time. I had the dialysis catheter, and that was it was a replacement. It was a second one because the first one had the cuff exposed, so it was sliding out. But
so they went in and they fixed it.
Well, they changed it out. So this one actually had sutures on the wings and on the exit site. And I had said, now I felt better about it. And the last one only had sutures on the wings and didn't have it on the exit site. So the cuff was exposed, so it was kind of coming out, but it was sutured to my skin with on the wings, and creates a lot more little scars that bubble up and everything. So this one, I was giving myself my maintenance dose of iron because I did an iron series.
Oh, the vial.
Right, and I was giving myself a maintenance dose. I have to do 2 after I do the series if my hemoglobin didn't come up enough. So it's a vial of iron, and you just put it through. I have medicine cartridges that I use for dialysis so that I can, give myself the iron. And I was doing that, and the pressures for, I think it was the arterial pressure was actually high. And I kept why is it, what's happening? I don't know what's going on. Is it because I'm doing the iron or what? And then I looked down, and it's just basically sitting in my lap. But it's,
oh my gosh.
It's still the top of it's still under the dressing. So I'm I don't know how long these things are. It was that long. And I'm trying to hold it in, I'm I don't want to. I've had catheters fall out before, back when I was, in my 20s, and I had one just came out in the shower, and it freaked me out so bad. I put it in a grocery bag. I was I don't know what to do with this, and went to the hospital, but there was no blood or anything, it's just this hole.
So did you end up calling EMS?
So this time, yeah, I was like, I know if I take off this dressing because I'm by myself, and if I think I could just like let it fall out or pull it out or whatever, this would be the time that I would be like squirting blood everywhere or something crazy would happen. So I was like, let me just stop treatment. You know, I had to do that again, which is like so ironic because I was giving myself the iron because of probably a blood loss or something like that, and like, you know, low hemoglobin. And I was like, let me just calm down and not freak out about this because it's really like, you know, I'm almost done with treatment. I got a pretty good, you know, run, and, you know, let me just figure out what I'm going to do. So I called EMS, but, you know, they come in and they have no idea, like, at all whatsoever. And really what I wish that I could have had them do is like, okay, you know, you lift the dressing and then I'll take care of the rest. Like, I'll pull and put pressure or something, you know, just like an extra set of hands. But they're not supposed to do that stuff. I get it. You know, I know. And they are just like all staring at me dumbfounded. Like 3 people are just like, and I'm like, I'm assuming that nobody here knows much about dialysis. I was very nice this time. And so the one lady was like putting my slipper socks on that were there, like, you know, that I wear during treatment. But then I was like, okay, I'll just walk down, and I'm holding the whole time, you know, and then I go to put the shoes on, and I'm like, oh, these are like huge furry slipper socks. No shoes are going to go over these. So I was like, thank you so much for putting those on, but I'm going to take them off. And so I just put flip flops on, and like, they were so confused. They're like, should we bring the stretcher all the way up to the 3rd floor for, you know, 3rd floor apartment? And I'm like, can I just walk down? And like, so I'm like holding it, walking down, and like, they just put a sweater like over my shoulders. And I know that then I get in the gurney, and then they, you know, put me in and stuff. And I know that like all my neighbors are probably watching, you know, from like the windows, because I would be. So I was like gonna wave, you know, but I said, please don't take me to the hospital on 42 in Johnston County, because I know they're not gonna know what to do there. And what I was thinking at the time was I was gonna get a new catheter, and WakeMed is affiliated with nephrologists who, you know, will come in the next day and like send me to the access center again or whatever. And they were like, the guy goes, well, you want me to call and see if anybody there knows? I said, you can call. And he's like, he gets off the phone and he goes, yeah, you're right. Nobody there knows what to do or what that is.
So you ended up going to, oh my gosh.
I said, yeah, they're pretty useless to me most of the time.
WakeMed.
They're useless to me over at that hospital on 42, because I usually just end up going somewhere else. But anyway, so sorry, I'm so long-winded, but I get there, and basically what ended up happening is the nurse finally lifts the dressing like 2 hours after I was there or whatever, when they're trying to figure out what to do. And she's like, oh, honey, it's out. And I was like, damn it. So like, I came here for nothing. So I was like, let me not make this a 4-0 trip, and, you know, go ahead and take cultures and make sure I don't have an infection or anything. Yeah. Because I was having like low grade fevers and stuff, but that always happens to me when I have catheter. Like, my temperature will go up at the end of treatment. Like, I think my body is just doesn't like it. So my body, I don't know if it's like pushing these out, because that catheter fell all the way out 2 days after I got the sutures taken out, which I got them taken out when you're supposed to get them taken out, which is 3 weeks after. And, you know, it just came out. So I was like, I said, no.
You're just done with it.
Yeah. So whenever I have Dr. Knowles work on my arm, I will have to get another catheter for that, you know, few weeks or whatever. So that was the reason for getting it, though.
Right. So the fistula is not going to be able to be worked on right now. We're going to have to wait.
Because when I'm done with the Eliquis. So like when the blood clots are cleared again. You know,
okay.
Blood clots
all right. Yeah, because I remember you sent me a text message at 4:30 in the morning about your Uber wasn't working. And
I don't use Uber or Lyft really at all.
Well,
like,
I was like,
years.
why is she doing this at 4:30? But you never told me you were in the hospital.
Oh,
and I was only half awake, and so Sean worked overnight, so you got up with him, and then he just came straight from work and picked you up. And then I heard he made a joke about Big Wake, because I call that hospital Big Wake because there's multiple Wake meds.
I don't know why I hate that so much.
I swear I'm not the only person that calls it Big Wake.
You're not, but it makes
But you and Sean love to make fun of me for calling it Big Wake.
Yeah, please stop saying
Big Wake.
So the way that it went down is crazy, because Slim was still like, you know, having his jet lag, lethargic, like, you know, just passing out every chance he gets. And so, you know, he was at work, which is right down the street from WakeMed. And I told him I'm going to WakeMed, or I said I might have to go to WakeMed. And, you know, then I dropped the ball on keeping it up. And so when he got home, he's like, where are you? And I was like, WakeMed. And he's like, I wish I would have known that. I just came home from work.
Yeah, and that's right next to WakeMed.
Yeah, he's like, do I need to come there? So then we're getting in this bickering, you know. He's like, do I need to come there? And I'm like, no, I'm fine, you know. And like, probably should have said, yeah. So like, I don't know. I was like, is he trying to teach me a lesson? Because I said, no, I'm fine. And then he just went to sleep. And then
No,
I
he just
called
passed
him.
out because he was tired because he just got back from Africa and didn't have many days off.
Right. His phone was charging and on vibrate. And so I was like a psycho girlfriend and had called him like 25 times. He said it was 15, but I swear it was like, and then I was calling him on Facebook and I was calling him on WhatsApp trying to make like a different
And then
sound.
you tried to call an Uber and it didn't work.
Right. The Uber and the Lyft on my phone weren't working because they were saying like phone number not valid or, you know, this
I
and
was
that.
like
And
half
it was-
asleep. I didn't even realize. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
so
and then I didn't put two and two together that you were at the hospital, but
Well,
it worked out. Everything worked out because
Yeah,
Sean
'cause he
gave
was
you a
on
ride
his way
home and you
home
guys laughed about how insane I am. So I think what we need to do is we do have a guest,
Yeah, I'm
our
excited.
first guest. So we need to go ahead and get into that.
Okay, so we have our first guest, and I'm super excited. It's Yvonne McCormick. She is a dialysis warrior princess. I met Yvonne on Instagram, and I just love her Instagram. I mean, I always forget to go on that account because it's kind of like a dialysis networking, if you will, account. But when I do go on, it's pretty much only to look at Yvonne's stories and compliment her on her makeup and her outfits and just everything. I mean, her hair color and, you know, her interests and her hobbies are pretty similar to mine. So there's always something to talk about. And, you know, even if it isn't dialysis or kidney related, because we both, you know, get tired of doing that. But I think I just wanted to have her on, you know, just a young, fresh, beautiful face. And
So welcome, Yvonne.
yeah. So
How are you doing today?
I wanted to have her maybe tell a little bit about her story, as much as, you know, that might be redundant. I understand, but maybe just like a rundown of, you know, you've had a couple transplants that failed. And, you know, I do think that it was kidney and pancreas. So if you could just maybe go from that and tell us a little bit about where you are now.
Okay, so how old am I? Okay, I'm 32 now.
Oh, I thought you were younger.
This all started when I was 22. I basically was in the hospital, really, really sick. They didn't know what was going on. Just weeks and weeks of tests. Finally, they figure out like, well, my appendix ruptured. And so then they did exploratory surgery to figure that out. And right after that, they were like, okay, your kidneys are done. Like, you need to start dialysis. So that started when I was 22.
What stage were you at? Were you at stage 5?
Yeah. Which I was at stage 5 then. I actually was told when I was 18 that I was in stage 2, but like they didn't really go into much more detail than that. It was like, you're in stage 2 kidney failure. Okay, go home.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing really that they tell you to do about it. So
Yeah.
I didn't know. And it just progressively got worse. Nobody ever really monitored it. And then it was stage 5 after the appendix thing. And I went straight on peritoneal dialysis from there.
How did that work out for you?
Yeah, so there's 2 different ways for peritoneal. So you can do manual exchanges all day, every day, or you can go on the cycler at night. For whatever reason, my clinic told me that I was not a candidate for the cycler. So I had to do manual exchanges 4 times a day, every single day.
Wow.
That was really hard on me, especially I was 22 and I was like recently engaged and like just so young. And I remember that when they told me that I was not a candidate for the cycler, I had like the biggest breakdown of my life. I was like screaming and just like broke down crying because I was like, I just wanted so badly to just be able to do it at night and have somewhat of a normal life.
Right.
But thankfully, like I actually got listed for a kidney and pancreas, which a lot of people don't know. That list is much shorter, as opposed to a kidney, which can be 5 to 10 years, depending where you are and your blood type. Kidney pancreas is about a year. Oh, wow. So I went on peritoneal in September of 2012, and I received a kidney pancreas transplant in September of 2013.
Okay, so that didn't work out after
how long did you have that?
That actually failed. The kidney failed in December 2017. Okay, so a couple years, maybe about 5 years.
Oh yeah, 5. I was thinking you said 15. So what I have a question about is I had gotten a PD catheter and was supposed to start with PD. I explained that on our first episode, but how, without getting too into detail, did it affect your personal life? Because it did nothing for my personal life at the time.
Yeah.
Like, how did you deal with that?
So I think like the biggest thing with a PD catheter, especially being young, is if you're going to try to be intimate with somebody, like, where do you put this catheter? Like,
right.
Keep on like I have one of those bands that goes around the stomach, so it's like you're just gonna be naked, but like where your face.
Exactly.
So
that was my thing. And then when they added the extension onto it, I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me?
When you first get it, it's so short, and then they're like, okay, but here's like another foot.
Right. Right. And so you don't know any of this stuff until like you go to the next appointment, and like, you know, then I had the and I talk about the PTSD, and it's like, you'll relate to this because there was a woman there and she was very mean to me and she treated me like I was a child, and you know, she was at the clinic yesterday helping them out because she's not normally at that clinic, and I had to go get a Mircera shot, whatever. But whenever I see her, it all comes back because she was being very mean to me, telling me I was constipated and all this and that because I was having that pain, drain pain. But it was like, it wasn't drain pain because we were flushing it and trying to see how it worked and things like that. And they were going to teach me how to use it. And it was just excruciating pain. So that's when I ended up in the hospital with it matted in my intestines and all that crap. But she was just terrible. She was just so, just mean. And so I still kind of want to say something to her, like 15 years ago, you really scarred me,
And you know what's so crazy is she probably doesn't even remember it.
I think she must, because I told them don't ever put her in the room with me because, she's helping them out for like clinic days and stuff. And she ended up in the room with me recently, but it had been a couple years before that even happened. And like yesterday, she was kind of just looking at me and not really like saying anything. She was just listening to me talk, but like, just lurking and being weird. So I don't know. I can't.
So in 2017, So in 2017, your kidney failed, but what about the pancreas?
So it still worked. I got put on dialysis, but because I had the pancreas and it was in that peritoneal cavity, they said I couldn't go back on PD. So I had to get a fistula and do hemo. And that's just a totally different world from PD. Like when I see people on like peritoneal, like complaining, and I'm like, I know it sucks, but you just have no idea. Like hemodialysis is just a totally different world. I don't tolerate it well, and so that was really rough. But the pancreas actually made it through all of that, and I got another kidney transplant from a living donor, and I didn't wait long for that either. It was October 2018, so it was like less than a year I was back on dialysis. But as soon as I got that kidney, my blood sugars was out of control, and I immediately had to be put back on insulin. So the pancreas failed like right after I got the kidney.
Oh gosh.
So the second kidney failed and the pancreas failed?
Well, the pancreas failed after she got that second kidney. So when did the second kidney fail?
Yeah. The second kidney failed. I laugh, but like, it's not funny. But like,
I know.
All of it, it's like, how could someone have such like terrible luck? But the second kidney failed less than a year later. It was actually October 2019. I got put back on hemo again.
Okay, so when I met you, you were doing PD. I remember that, and I guess no, because that doesn't line up though, because I went back on dialysis
because I did, like, after the pancreas failed, they said I could do PD again.
Okay.
So I was on hemo for a little bit after the second kidney failed. I opted to go back on peritoneal, and then I had a weird issue where I developed a hole in my diaphragm, and the PD fluid was leaking into my lung space. And your story about the nurse with like and PTSD, everything reminded me of this, because the fluid was leaking in my lung space. I could not breathe, and I actually have a history of diabetic bulimia, which is an eating disorder. So my dialysis nurse, which I hate her, she insisted that my dry weight had just increased and I was trying to take too much fluid. But really, I was not draining any fluid because it was all in my lung space. And I ended up having to have it drained twice. And 2 times they drained over 2 liters of fluid from my lung space.
Wow.
That's
so
crazy.
after that, I had to go back on hemo again.
So you're on hemo now?
Right.
Are you on?
I'm home hemo, yeah.
You do home hemo?
She does.
Yeah.
Like Sam.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask is, I remember, I don't remember what your answer was, but even I was not doing advocacy for Next Stage when I had said, why aren't you doing home hemo? And like, I think you were just so over everything. You were like, well, what was the reason that you weren't doing it back then? think you wanted to do PD.
I wanted to do, so when I was doing PD and I had to switch to hemo, I wanted to do home hemo, but they were talking about you have to have a care partner who can come to training with you every day for 5 weeks. And I'm like, who knows somebody who like, yeah.
Right.
And so like, thankfully my mom, she lives in Florida and she actually ended up moving up here and she doesn't work. So I could have her come as my care partner, but that was never expected. So it was kind of just a lucky thing that happened and I was able to end up doing it. But
what state are you in?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So in Pennsylvania, is it still where you have to have a care partner? Or
you have a care partner. Like my clinic knows that I do it on my own, that I don't have somebody help me, but you have to at least have somebody who can come train with you.
Because for Samantha, I guess she talked about last time that they passed a law where you could do it by yourself here.
The beginning of the year that I started. And so I'm just like Yvonne, where like I do have a couple people who probably would, but why would I ask for them to do that? You know, like why would I ever ask that? And so it's hard because it's like sometimes I do wish that I had somebody there because like if something happens or whatever, but most of the time I'm very grateful and very fortunate and just happy that I can do it by myself because it's.
So is it more common, I wonder, because it seems to differ by state, so I wonder if it's more common that you have to have a care partner.
I think so, yeah.
Because it seems like, because I was reading on the dialysis pages that people are really frustrated with that because they have to have a care partner and just have, I mean, because like you said, you have to go like every day for 5 weeks. And I don't know anybody that could take that amount of time off of work without losing their job.
It took me like 8 weeks to learn it because I was so sick and I was so pissed and I was just like not having it and I was defensive and there were a couple of days I probably ended up in the hospital or something happened, I don't remember. So it took me almost like 8 weeks and that's a long time and it felt like school and I was just like not in the mood, and so I'm really lucky that she stuck with me and my nurse is like a no nonsense person and didn't put up with my shit, and so like I was glad about that because she could have easily said like this isn't for you, you're done, we're so over you have to do in-center. And there were times that I thought I would have to go back to in-center because I didn't know about respite. Apparently there's respite where like you can go in center and do your treatment or go, probably for me it would be like the home department and do treatment there because if you need a break or if you need, I didn't know about that. I don't know why they didn't tell me about that because I'm clearly
that's pretty cool though, because if you get like drained to where you're like I'm doing this every time and I just want someone else to do it for a little bit. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I know about respite for like foster homes and stuff.
Right,
but
exactly.
I didn't know there was like dialysis respite.
Yeah,
so I kind of looked at some of your Instagram because Samantha sent me the link and I was like, are you with Jason Voorhees in one of those pictures?
I'm actually like a big Halloween fan. And I did a calendar, like it's called Miss Spooky Scranton. And I did like a Michael Myers picture where I'm like Michael in the reflection, but I'm me in like real life.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So Scranton.
Oh, are you talking about Monster Mania?
Yes, I saw it because I think he looked like the actor, but I couldn't figure out if that's who it was.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of pictures. I don't know. Was that with Jason? Oh, I don't know. I have a lot of. I don't know which one you might be talking about.
Well, I saw a picture of you because you're also with Anthony Michael Hall from Weird Science. No, is that it? Yeah. Is it Weird? No. What's
Weird
it called?
Science. Yeah.
It is Weird Science? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Halloween Kills. We just went to, it's called Monster Mania. It was in New Jersey. And yeah, I met Anthony Michael Hall and then James Jude Courtney, which like, that's my new boyfriend. I love him. He loves me. And Kane Hodder from Friday the 13th and Hatchet. It's really cool. So if you're a horror fan, it's definitely something to check out.
Yeah, she's so into all this stuff. And so I think...
well, no, it's crazy because I get scared about movies.
Right, but you know all about that stuff.
I finally, at like almost 40, have watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I did. Sean watched it with me, and then I realized it's so cheesy. Why was I so scared of it when I was a kid?
Right.
But I was watching it probably like Sean said he watched it when he was 5 and was not scared of it. And I was like, I was like probably 10 and terrified.
yeah.
That scene where he comes out of the wall, oh my God, no, I'm done. Like, because I'm sleeping like this from now on, like looking at my ceiling above my bed.
But so like what do you do during dialysis? Like, do you listen to
Yes, that's what I was
audiobooks?
gonna
Do you like read the true crime books and stuff that you're into, podcasts?
So my plan is always to read. I always have a book next to me. I usually like to read true crime. But I always end up scrolling TikTok for 2.5 hours.
Oh, so your treatments are 2.5 hours?
Yeah, I do 5 days a week, 2.5 hours. I want them to decrease it. Obviously, everyone wants their time decreased.
Yeah.
But my, I don't know if you've talked about this, like your KTV number, like the adequacy of your dialysis. Mine, they said, is the highest they've ever seen. So I'm like, why can't we decrease this?
Wow, that's like how clean her blood is getting. So you do like a pre-tube and a post-tube, and it's a KT over V. So don't ask me what those letters mean.
Yeah,
I keep trying to stump Samantha. She hates it, but I think it's
like
funny.
To say I don't know, and have that on record. But so I look at that too. Mine's a little bit higher than the range, but I don't think it's like anything crazy. I don't remember. I think it's like close to 3. But so I would love to do 2.5 hour treatments, but I don't want to do 5 days a week. I do 4 days, so I do 4 hours for four times a week. And when I do stop treatment early, or something happens and I have to stop early or whatever, I always feel better. Like, I always feel better if I just do like 3 hours or 3.5 hours. I don't feel as drained, because like you, I think, I probably would have done better on PD if I hadn't went through that whole nightmare, because it drains me. It gives me headaches. And their first thing, oh, you're pulling too much fluid. I didn't pull any fluid, or, like, I didn't have too much fluid. This is my dry weight. It's like the thing that they love to say is the fluid.
Yeah,
well, is that their first go-to?
Yeah.
And then you had fluid in your chest. And they were telling you were pulling too much fluid.
Dry weight. Like, I could pull like 0.1 and they'd be like, oh no, it's too much. Like, you're messing with dry weight. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, we know our bodies. And I think that's the thing, is they don't understand, is like, they want to think they're the doctors, they know everything. But when I, for example, like the fluid in my chest, I'm like, something's wrong. When I called the dialysis nurse, she was like, so for the next couple of days, I want you to drink more fluid because I think you're getting too dry. Ooh. So I had so much fluid already in my chest, and then I was getting more fluid that wasn't pulling off because it was all going into my lungs.
I was going to say, wouldn't that exasperate?
Yeah, she didn't know. But
say that word for me.
Exasperate. But the nurse didn't know that that's what was happening. But, obviously something else was going on.
So all the fluid was just going to your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just was insistent that I thought my dry weight was lower than it was, and that I had just gained weight. And a lot of times I feel like they think that more with me because I did have an eating disorder. And so they think that I just so much want to be skinny that, like, I'd rather make myself sick with dialysis than accept the fact that I have gained weight.
Yes.
Which has like never been the case.
Yeah. See, and we're not, like, even as, as vain as I can be, and as, that does happen. Like, you do want to get off that fluid, but you're not going to make yourself go through low blood pressure and feeling like that just to look skinny. Right. Like, you're not going to do that. So they do that with me because I do gain weight, like, so much. My weight fluctuates so much. And so I think it's kind of like almost like similar, but almost the opposite, where they're like, oh, she's just a fat chick. So, like, she doesn't want to be a fat chick. So that's why she's trying to take off the fluid, like, but back then when I was in center, it wasn't like that. And it's so annoying because, okay, just to get my Mircera shot yesterday, how everything is like protocol, like, just to get my Mircera shot yesterday, they weighed me when I went in, and I'm like, what are you weighing me for? It's just like, that's what they automatically weigh everybody when they come in. But I'm not in center, I'm in the home department. And so, like, I always am like, I don't have to weigh, I'm just coming to drop off my labs, or I don't, what are you weighing me for? Because first of all, my scale at home is different than this one. Second of all, I don't have on boots, and, like, I'm usually in my underwear when I weigh at home. So, like, I weighed this morning and I was 86, because we go by kilos. I was 86, and then I go to the center, like, without eating or drinking anything, and I'm like 88. And I'm like, okay, that's obviously my clothes, and the scale is, a little bit different than the one at home, whatever. So, like, we should always be weighing on the same scale with the same, clothes and everything. So why are they even weighing me there for what? Like, it's annoying because everything's like protocol. But so do you like home hemo over in center? I know that you would rather do PD, but do you like home hemo over the in center?
Well, I promised that I wouldn't say bad things about Next Stage, which I don't have anything bad to say about Next Stage. I think they're actually great. Like anytime I've ever had an issue, you know, they've got supplies out to me the next day. Like if you need technical support, they're great. I think that home is a great option for most people, but they need to be more like honest about it. They try to be like, it saves so much time. You're going to be able to work. You're going to feel better. I don't like really believe that, because I was actually working when I was in center because I had dialysis 3 days a week. It was in the morning. I got it done with. I went to work. Now it's like I have to be on my machine 2.5 hours, which is less time, but you have to set it all up yourself. You have to do your own needles. You have to take yourself off. You have to clean everything up. Like when all is said and done, it's still 4 to 5 hours that I'm dealing with this.
Right.
And then they're like, why aren't you working? Why don't you get a job? Because like I'm an X-ray tech. A lot of the shifts I could get are going to be 12 hours. Like what am I going to work 12 hours and find 5 hours to do dialysis? Like it's very time consuming. It does. I feel like it takes up a huge chunk of your life, and it takes a lot of like dedication and responsibility to make yourself do it. Cause like nobody's there being like, you got to do this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you have to have the motivation to do it, because you know, I went through a period where I really struggled with that. And also, you know, a lot of people don't do it because they feel chained to the machine and they just would rather go in and, you know, the reason I do like it is because I can do it when I want to. So, I'm very bad with time. I'm just not a good time management person. And so when I, you know, have to be at the center at this time every, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I just think it would be a lot on me at this age. Now, you know, I did it when I was 22 and that was, you know, fine. But yeah, there are drawbacks because it's still dialysis. Like that's what I always tell, because, you know, I do the Next Stage advocacy, which, you know, I need to give you some numbers to look into that because.
I was going to. That.
Because that's good for income. You know, it is a little bit tricky if you do receive any disability, you know, because you can't make over a certain amount and things like that. So that's kind of where I am right now. But, you know, you still have to do everything. And, you know, sometimes when I'm done, like, especially if my boyfriend's not there, not that he would ever say anything or care, but I'll just leave the stuff there and go like take a nap, because like that's the type of person I am. After treatment, I take a nap or I just chill and like eat some food and just
How do you
chill.
feel after treatment, Yvonne?
So it depends. A huge reason why I did go on home hemo is because my body just physically could not do 4-hour treatments in center. I would get like excruciating migraines. I would like throw up. I wouldn't be able to like function afterwards. So I went on home hemo. The shorter treatments are much better for me, but a lot of times, like especially right now, I'm dealing with some heart issues where I need a medication for my pulse, but it also lowers my blood pressure.
Same.
So a lot of times when I come off my machine, my blood pressure is so low, like I stand up, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So I'm like the same. I'm luckily like I have my dad. He's so helpful, and he kind of tears down my machine for me. But I'll usually just get up from my chair and like just go straight to my bed and nap.
I feel that's what you do. Yeah. I did want to ask you about, I saw that in one of your pictures, I only looked at a couple, but I saw that you had the Dexcom. And so my 11-year-old stepdaughter last year was diagnosed with type 1, and she has the Dexcom. Now I guess her doctor approved her to wear it on her arm. So I saw yours was on your stomach. Are you able to wear it on your arm, or do you have to wear it on your stomach?
So I didn't say this. And if you ever call Dexcom, you have to say that it's on the certain part of the body. But from what I was told, it's only like approved for use on the stomach, or for a child, they can do it like on their upper butt area. But people wear it everywhere. They put it on their legs. Well,
I will tell you that when we called Dexcom, because inevitably you always have an issue, we called them and they said as long as the doctor approves it for where you place it, then they'll help, because you know sensor goes out, that's like $100. You know, so if you have an issue with a sensor, then sometimes they'll send you one if it's like a malfunction. But yeah, you're right, because they don't want to if it's not in the place it's supposed to be. Right. But I guess her doctor, because it is approved in Europe for the arm. And
Okay.
so she said if she gets accurate readings from her arm, she can wear it in her arm. And we did because sometimes when it's like really weird, we'll, do the finger prick and make sure it's calibrated and all that. But I just wanted to know, is that something you've had for a long time? Do you have type 1 or?
Yeah, I have had type 1 since I was 12. I got diagnosed in 2001. And I actually just recently got the Dexcom like 2 years ago. I don't know how I ever lived without it, to be honest. Because
It's pretty
my
awesome.
sugar is so crazy. So sometimes when I am without it, if I run out and I don't have another sensor, I freak out because I'm like, I have no idea what my sugar is.
Yeah, you got to go back to finger prick.
Yeah, the issue though with Dexcom in dialysis patients is it's not technically approved. You can read about it. It's not approved for dialysis patients because I think with the kind of it tests your blood obviously, and with it cleaning your blood, the numbers can get messed up. So I will say I have to calibrate a lot. My Dexcom is inaccurate a lot, but I think it's because of the dialysis.
Yeah.
So.
It's just we're just balancing acts. We're just but
if you can go even 2 days without pricking your fingers, that's a win.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. It's just a lot of times it'll say I'm 55 and I check it and I'm 105.
Yeah, that's what we've had a similar, because they're it says 48. I said she should be on the ground, So I was just test your finger. But I think we've had only one bad sensor since we've gotten it. But yes, it's very much pretty awesome.
I just wanted to see where you are with the getting listed again for transplant for kidney and pancreas.
Yeah, so it was we were saying, I didn't want to for the longest time because having 2 failed transplants, you're I don't want to do this again. Yeah. It's a lot. But I'm having some trouble just because I have had 2. I tried to list with the University of Maryland. That didn't work out because of insurance things. But then University of Pennsylvania, I tried to list there. They just stopped returning my calls.
Oh,
so now I've called several transplant centers in the last couple of days just trying to make appointments for evaluation. But I think that's something you could definitely talk about in the future, is just how hard it is to get listed for transplant. People think you just call and you're okay, I want to do this. And you get a couple tests and you're good to go. But they put you through the ringer. It's they almost don't want you to get a transplant, which I know is not true, but it's very hard.
Don't you have to be in a certain radius to where you get in the...
Sometimes if you're able to show that you can go and stay somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So if you tried to apply at UNC and you stayed with Samantha, you could say, I've got somewhere to stay.
And I did offer that even when we didn't know each other, so that was creepy. But the offer still stands, always. Because there's a room and you could come for however long and not have to pay to live there or, stay there for however long. And, I'm 45 minutes from UNC. She used to live down here, so she knows where that is.
Where did you live when you lived down here?
I lived in Asheville.
Oh, okay. Right. So that's 5 hours west of us.
Yeah, but so, the transplant team over there is pretty cool. They, for some reason love me. I think it's just, me being a younger patient and, they were really good. So I think, that's something you can definitely look into and see about if they would list you, and, you could totally stay here and, well, not here because we're not at my house, but, stay
and the thing is, they're not, I'm approved to get listed. It'll be approved to get listed with one thing. And then I can do the one thing, but it's Philadelphia, they're just not returning my calls, and that doesn't make me feel good. So I just go elsewhere. But it's definitely hard, especially when you've had multiple transplants. They
well, we did it. You'll see it. You'll see it when we do the show. We did a shout out today to someone that just received their 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
Because we're trying to do an uplifting part where we kind of highlight someone that's just received one. So she just received one, and it is her 3rd. So there's hope out there. But unfortunately, we do kind of have to wrap up because we're trying to keep it in this time frame.
But we want to have you as a repeat guest because I definitely have other topics.
I would love to talk more about that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So definitely, you're our first guest. Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much for coming on.
We will be in touch. We'll talk to you. Have a great rest of your workout if you go back in there.
Thanks.
So thank you, Yvonne, for being our first guest. Samantha's got some information. If you're interested in following Yvonne, Samantha's going to give you her Instagram real quick, and then we're going to do a little housekeeping, and we're going to close out.
Yeah, so her Instagram account is very entertaining. It's witchy, WITCHY .woman, WOMAN, and then an underscore after that, witchy.woman_. And just go check out her Instagram and, connect with her on her story. She likes that.
If you would please follow us on Facebook.com, Kidney Bean Podcast, and also please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Kidney Bean Podcast. And then I think we're just going to say what we're going to say. Ready?
Share
your spare. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.